Welcome to the AVAIL podcast, where we dig deep and talk about the art of leadership. My name is Virgil Sierra, your AVAIL podcast host and lead pastor of Vertical Church, aka Iglesia Vertical in South Florida. Today, we're sitting down with Pastor Mayo Sowell. He is the founder and pastor of LIIV Atlanta and Blank Canvas Creative Co. And today, we're going to discuss a little bit of church planting, a little bit of urban mission, an amazing documentary that's come out, and we're going to talk a little bit about how Pastor Mayo is helping other churches and pastors. So lean in, leaders, and let's get started. Pastor Mayo, I'm so excited to have you as a guest on our AVAIL podcast. How are you feeling today, brother?
Man, what's up, PV? Good to see you. I'm so happy to see you again. Man, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Hey, now I want to say this too, and I don't want to make anybody upset. Thank you so much for praying and helping and leading and also giving to LIIV Atlanta. Because of you and your generosity, so many people are experiencing Jesus, because of your generosity. Thank you so much. I want to personally say that.
Yes. Well, I appreciate that. It's one of the things I love about ministry and the journey is meeting amazing people. And we were talking a little while ago about when we met in Birmingham, Alabama, and in the middle of ministry and learning and growing. And here we are a few years later. I can't wait to talk about a lot of what we're going to talk about today, speaking leadership, church planting, impacting the community. Pastor Mayo, you are a great blessing. I would love for our AVAIL audience, before we jump into that conversation, to get to know you a little bit. Can you share a little bit about your story? Who is Mayo Sowell?
Yeah, who's Mayo Sowell? Mayo Sowell I was born in Los Angeles, California. I say LA, and most people say Lower Alabama. No, it's not Lower Alabama. It was Los Angeles, California. My mom was shopping around Christmas, and her water broke. She was in the Beverly Center, and I was born right across the street in Cedars-Sinai. Then my parents, in the 80s, it was drugs and everything going on in LA. My dad got in some trouble, and we ended up moving to Louisiana, literally lower Louisiana. So we moved to Louisiana. I grew up in Louisiana, and I started playing sports, excelled in sports, and my parents got a divorce, and my mom went to Birmingham, Alabama. When I was in Birmingham, Alabama, I started to be recruited in high school by several colleges for basketball and football. Ended up taking a scholarship to Auburn University to play football in the state of Alabama. Played for 4 years, went undefeated my senior year. Ended up going to the Buffalo Bills after that. Went to the Buffalo Bills, and once I went to the Buffalo Bills, I hurt my ACL. Moved back to Atlanta at that time after the Buffalo Bills. Ended up trying to acquire the same resources that I had from the NFL. Ended up selling drugs. I was always entrepreneurial. My dad was entrepreneurial. My dad, he sold drugs in LA in the 80s, and it was just, people and risk. It just came natural to me, playing linebacker. So I was like, hey, let's just do it. So bad idea, and the bad idea got worse. End up missing a 15-year sentence for the intent to distribute narcotics in Arizona. I had a weapons. The judge ended up giving me 5 years in prison. Didn't know Jesus any of that time. I served 5 years in prison. On my 4th year, a guy came across Howard Tuning, laid his hands on me and prayed for me in the middle of the afternoon in prison, and everything went cold turkey. Everything cold turkey.
Wow.
So now I had a relationship with Jesus. I dove in. I've always been the all-in guy. So I went all in with Jesus, went all in with my faith. And it was time for me to exit out of prison. Instead of going back to Atlanta, where most of my guys live, I went back to Alabama, and I asked my parents, hey, can I move back in with you guys? Because my parents, marriage reconciled.
Wow.
So I moved back in with my parents, and I wanted to go to church. So I asked my mom and dad, hey, can I go to church? What church do you guys go to? But the problem was, the caveat was, I can only go to churches in a 5-mile radius because I had an ankle bracelet on. So end up looking up church within a 5-mile radius. Church of the Highlands at that time was the only church in the 5-mile radius. Didn't know anything about Church of the Highlands. Walked in Church of the Highlands, and after service, I walked out. But before I walked out, the pastor said, hey, I would love to meet those of you who are hanging out with us for the very first time. So now I'm like, I hear God say, "This is your home church." Well, I'm like, "Well, God, this is like an all white church. Shouldn't I be in a black church?" Because this was my first time with faith. I'm like,
Yeah.
black with black, white with white. So, I'm like, "Well, God, nah, I don't know." And I said, "Well, if He says He will be my spiritual father, I will know that was you." So I fleeced God. I went to Pastor Chris Hodges. I asked him. I said, "Hey, will you be my pastor?" He said, "I'd love to be your pastor, but let me tell you something. You're called to be a pastor." I say, "Well, no, I'm on probation." And I pulled my pants up and I showed him my ankle monitor. I said, "I'm a federal prisoner." He's like, "No, you're a pastor." From that time on, Pastor Chris, he scholarshiped me to go to Highlands College. He took me under his wing. He mentored me close to close, and face to face. And that's my spiritual father. So that's
Wow.
kind of who Mayo Sowell is. In that time, I went to school. I got my master's in global ministry design. I'm getting my doctor in global missiology. Graduated from Highlands College, and I just enjoy church. This is what I do. I enjoy church. So that's kind of who Mayo is: athlete, pastor, entrepreneur, ex-drug dealer. Here we go.
I love it. I think that gives us a lot of insight to your dynamic story. It is an awesome story, and I think that's what one of the things God uses in our lives to impact others is what He's done in us. I remember when I first met you, Pastor Mayo, you were serving precisely at Church of the Highlands in Birmingham. We were at a conference, and you helped me and my wife in a situation with one of the Pastor Lane, and helped us out in a situation. I said, "Man, I like that guy," and lo and behold, a few years later, right before you officially launched LIIV Atlanta, you came and preached at my church,
Yes, sir.
Vertical Church, Iglesia Vertical in South Florida.
Yes.
You got a little bit of Latin, a little Latino experience down here with us.
And your sister translated, and she made every word that I said even more anointed, because she's anointed.
Yeah. And she told me that she enjoyed translating for you, although it was difficult because you did a little dance move, and she couldn't quite match your skills. So,
Yeah.
so let's talk church planting. So we just heard your story. And nobody would have guessed some years back, right? Especially in that season where you were locked up. Like, this is a pastor right here, and this is part of your calling. Talk to us about the journey about planting a church, specifically LIIV Atlanta.
So planting the church, it wasn't always my dream. I wanted to do ministry the rest of my life, and I wanted to help people. Although I didn't know how ministry would be activated throughout my life. I just said yes to God. I said yes to God, and I said yes every step of the way. So my first responsibility was serving my local church, which was my spiritual father, Pastor Chris. And I looked him in the eye, and I said, "Pastor Chris, I will serve you the day I die," and I still serve him to this day. So after that, God spoke to my wife and I when I was with Pastor Chris. Pastor Chris and I was down in Miami at Pastor Rich Wilkerson's church, and Pastor Rich holds a volunteer party for his volunteer team in the Fountain Blue Hotel, which is in LIIV nightclub. So Rich knows the owner of LIIV nightclub, and he hosts this once a year annual volunteer party for his volunteers. So Pastor Chris was the speaker, and I was Pastor Chris's travel companion. So I'm like, "Pastor Chris, do you know where we're going?" He's like, "Yeah, Rich has us in some hotel." And I'm looking on the itinerary. I'm like, "Yo, this is the Fountain Blue. Like, this is LIIV nightclub. This is the best nightclub in the world, Pastor Chris. like I've been here." He's like, "What do you mean you've been here?" I'm like, "Well, not since I've been on your staff, but I've been here." So, Pastor Chris, like, "I'm just going to go in here and give the gospel and help, push his, bottom line down the field." So I go in there, and Pastor Chris is preaching, and I'm crying. And he get off stage. He's like, "What's going on? Why are you crying?" I'm like, "Pastor Chris, I used to sell drugs in this club. I used to do deals in this club."
Wow.
And I heard God speak to me. He says, "Now, Mayo," I was on staff at that point for 6 years. I heard God speak. He said, "The people that you left dead in Atlanta, they deserve to live." And I was in LIIV nightclub. I was in LIIV Miami.
Wow.
And that was God telling us to go back to Atlanta. So the name of our church was LIIV Atlanta, because the people that we left dead, they deserve to live. Why? Because we was now living.
Wow.
So it came with a burden where I couldn't stay at Church of the Highlands because the people in Birmingham was living.
Yeah.
But the people in Atlanta, they was dying. So that was the birth of LIIV Atlanta.
Wow.
And everything he taught me and everything I learned from the streets, from football, and from Pastor Chris, I put it together and just created a gumbo and used my pain, my personality, my past experiences, and now that became the outcome, and that is LIIV Atlanta.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we see church planting. you know.
I love that. I want to ask you a particular question.
Yes, sir.
Because I know that you are not alone. You
No.
are married, and
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about with your wife. How
Yeah.
was this? Because she's also living her life. She also has a thought about
Yeah.
life, family,
Yeah.
ministry.
Yes, sir.
How was the process for her as she's walking alongside you?
So Kai and I, we didn't only co-founded the church, we co-founded the dream together. Because I met Kai when I was in the streets, because she graduated from Temple, came down here in advertising. We met in a nightclub. So we met each other lost. I ended up going to prison. She wrote me a letter in prison saying, hey, I heard you was in prison and I just want to let you know you're not damaged goods. We carried this relationship for 4 years. I find Christ. She finds Christ the same weekend. Now she comes visit me in prison. I tell her I'm turning over a new leaf. She's telling me she's turning over a new leaf. So I say, let's do it together. We do it together. We go to Church of the Highlands to the very first service together. So we co-founded this dream together from God, which was the outcome of co-founding the church. So we know each other's past. We know each other's pain, and also we know each other's purpose that God put in both of us. So we lead together, and we got 3 beautiful kids, and everything's in the life of LIIV.
I love it. All right, so now let's talk a little bit church planting, right?
Yep.
What were some of the biggest surprises, maybe good, maybe bad, that came with launching LIIV Atlanta?
So for us, it's an ever-present paradox. And when I say that, it's a paradox of promise, because we always experiencing a promise, but yet we're always experiencing pain.
Yeah.
And it's just this, this tightrope. Oh, I'm super, super grateful today, but I'm super anxious tomorrow because there's more pain we got to fix.
Yeah.
And that was it, because Atlanta is such a huge city, over 8 million people within the metro city of Atlanta, and it's people that's hurting, but it's people that's experiencing God's promise. So now, how that fleshes out with leaders is our foot on the gas. How much do we push our team? How much do we push ourselves? How much do we enjoy the promise and the benefits of the promise? And how much do we lean into the pain? Because you lean too much into the pain, you'll burn out. If you rely too much of the benefits of the promise, you'll get fat, and you get in the cycle of sin and entitlement. So it's just that paradox that's been our number one thing in Atlanta, because there's so many great churches in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But there's so many great pains in Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
So that's us with church planting, because Kai and I, we want to scale, we want to go.
Yeah.
But we can't burn.
Yeah.
So
I think that's good. I think thinking right now, thinking about keeping in mind the church planter who might be listening, or the soon to be church planter, right? From your experience and your journey, and again, you're 2 years in, so this is fresh in the sense of you got a lot of years of ministry because of what you did at your local church before, but now really launching and pastoring the church. What would you say, in perspective, right, are a few things that you guys have done right and well?
Yep.
And maybe what's something that you said, this has been a challenge along the journey?
So the first thing I think we've done well is contextualization. I think we've done a great job at contextualization. And because, coming from Church of the Highlands, coming from Pastor Chris, my spiritual father, of course, Birmingham is different than Atlanta. Alabama is different than Georgia. So therefore, Pastor Chris taught us great principles. And I believe that the principles that he teach, they come out of the word in their truth. However, I think wisdom have to come between the principle to contextualize it so it will fit and appeal to a person. So I had to take the principles that Pastor Chris taught us, and I had to contextualize them to a person so that they can fit the person in Atlanta. So this in theology, Pastor Virgil, you can see that in several ways through the Bible. God is God, but he contextualized himself in the person of Jesus.
Yeah.
So that he can come near and reach us. We got the law. We have the law. The law was a principle. They was practice. But yes, guess what? He put the law in the person of Jesus so that the law can be contextualized so people can now use it and apply it. we did that thing. We did that well. I think we did that well, and that was because of Pastor Chris' wisdom. And he told us, he gave us liberty. He said, Mayo, you're gonna have to make sure that what you do, you remember the person in Atlanta, they didn't grow up in Vacation Bible School. They don't know the Apostle Paul like the person in Chelsea does. Right. And I'm like, Pastor Chris, you're absolutely right. So we contextualize well. The thing that we didn't do well was, and I would say that the thing we didn't do well, we didn't think about all demographics well. I think we appeal more to the adult, and we left out I would say next gen. We left out next gen. We were just willing to give children's ministry to the parents that brought the kids.
Got it.
Where we could have leaned in. We could have created better content for kids. We could have did devotionals for kids. We could have honed in on our students better. But I don't kick myself because our team was, but I think if I can go back and do it over,
sure, we
would have leaned into that category more. We leaned into the category of adults mainly because I was thinking about paying the bills. Yeah. I was like, hey, the kids don't pay the bills, but if you take care of the kids, the parents will pay the bills even better. Yeah. Praise God. So that was just a little scarcity mindset that I had that kind of stopped my creativity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's good because I think that's part of the journey of not only church planting but pastoring and building the church as you go. Yep. Realizing, hey, we're really strong here, as PC would teach us. Where's the slat on the barrel that's a little low that we need to bring up so that the water level can rise up? And I can relate a lot to what you were talking about, contextualization, because as a son who took over from my parents who planted our church. Understanding the culture of the Hispanics, but then we're also doing English. We're doing both, so we call it tropicalizing. How do we take these systems that we learn from some other churches and ministries? How do we tropicalize it to our context so that our people in our region can identify and connect? And I think it's so key that churches do this. Now I know you have a passion, Pastor Mayo. You have a passion for reaching the community.
Yes, sir.
For reaching the least of these, for really finding, you said it, finding where the pain is.
Yes, sir.
And bringing some promise, some purpose, some hope. Talk to us a little bit about that heart.
Well, that heart was, that heart all the way around the board. That heart was given, and I received that heart from God, of course. But I was a beneficiary. Pastor Chris, I was the least of those in the church. I was a federal inmate, 88297008. I was on 20 years of probation when he looked at me and he said, you're a pastor. I was considered, in some people's eye, the least of these in that congregation.
Sure.
And he poured his life into me. So now, as the gospel tells us, freely you have received, so now you have the burden to give. So now, as the leader that's received something, I make sure that our church, we don't forget about the least of these, especially in our city. We don't forget about the least of these. So we focus on demographics that some people might not want to touch, some people might want to overlook, some people might give a blind eye to, some people might give a deaf ear to. We focus on them. And I think if they get better, our whole city will get better. Because I'm an athlete. I believe in the old adage, you're only as good as your weakest link. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, the least of these could be the weakest link in our city. So if our city gets better, they have to get better. And we want to specialize in those. We want to be the category king in reaching the least of them.
That's so good. So keeping in mind this heartbeat, that's at the heart of you guys as pastors, but also the church. Yeah. I know that there's a special project you guys have worked on, and obviously, depending on when people are listening or watching the podcast, it's likely out there, and it's a documentary with this title, "The Least of These." I can't wait to hear about this project. Share with us.
Yeah, so it comes at the theology comes out of Matthew chapter 25 when Jesus says, hey, if you visit this person, you visited me. If you help this person that needs water, you helped me. If you give this person that needs food, you gave it to me. So he says, if you do this for the least of these, you have done it for me. So we've taken that phrase right there, and that's just in our church. So each year we find a demographic in our city that some would probably overlook. So for 2025, what the demographic that we've pulled out as neighbors in our community, in our city, we pulled out the unhoused community. So what we did was we decided for our church to try to experience as much as possible their situation. Again, that's incarnated leadership. Jesus came down and he got as close as he can. He became us to experience what we go through. So what I did was, with, of course, permission from my wife and some of the board, I went unhoused for 7 days, which is only a backpack, only a Bible and a journal, and a GoPro where every night and every morning, I would doc you what I was experiencing, what I was seeing, with 2 outcomes. And the outcome was to experience a little bit of what they go through. And when I say a little bit, I say that with all of my heart because I have an option to go home. They don't.
Right.
So a little bit of what they go through. That was one outcome, to experience it, to get more empathy, to take back to our congregation and to bring awareness to the city of what they go through. The second outcome was to visit some of the non-profits in the city that specialize in serving the least of these. Why? Because I want to visit them and I want to see their reputation amongst our unhoused neighbors so that we can take up an offering and give 100% of the proceeds to these nonprofits that service and support the least of these in our city. So all the proceeds from this awareness, our church and our city is going to give on this last month.
That's
and
awesome.
100% of the proceeds is going to accelerate the organizations that our neighbors say is doing a good job and who I've seen doing a good job. And that's what we're going to do. Whew. So that's the least of these. Yeah. So it was,
so to try to visualize this for our AVAIL audience, this documentary, which obviously they're going to be able to see, but talk to us. What did this mean? Did this mean that you dressed a certain way? You woke up in the morning, talk us through a little bit about that day one and kind of how you managed it.
Yes, sir. So it was Mother's Day weekend. I got, kind of had a meal together. I had my backpack. I took I just had one, I had the clothes I had on. And I was dropped off in the middle of our city. And I think it was right around 11 o'clock. And I dropped off and I had a watch on. That's it. And no water. I went 2 days without water. I think I walked a total combined of right around 86 miles. I didn't eat for like 2 days. I didn't take bed. I didn't go into a shelter because I didn't want to take someone else's bed. I didn't take a meal from another organization because I didn't want to take someone else's meal. And yeah, I slept on the streets. I slept on cardboard. I got rained on 4 nights. I slept in bushes. I got ran away from a security guard several nights. I slept in an encampment one night. I experienced, to the best of my ability at that time, what they experienced for 7 days and 7 nights. And, Pastor Virgil, I say this, I did some tough things in my life. Football was tough.
Yeah.
Prison was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Those 7 days, it could have been the toughest thing I've probably ever done. And I served myself an indictment and no one else. I assumed a lot about our neighbors that's unhoused, and mainly the assumption was drugs. No, it's not. Now drugs are out there.
Sure.
But all of them are not on drugs. It was days that the depression of being out there kicked in, dehydration kicked in, starvation kicked in, I was sleep deprived. And it was days I just sat right there on the concrete and fell asleep against a wall because I was so tired. Now, seeing me, sometimes I drive past a person sleep on the wall and I think they're high.
Sure.
They can't go no more. And that was me. And I was like, man, I've given the wrong indictment You know, and I'm not thinking about the mental problems. I don't have any mental conditions. They have mental conditions.
Sure.
You know, I met neighbors out there, because so many people are check to check, and I don't want to ride this horse. So many people are check to check. You got to think about it. If you get injured and you're check to check, you can't pay your rent anymore.
Sure.
You're one step away from homelessness. I met so many people that said, man, I had a seizure and I had to go to the hospital and I couldn't go to work, so I got fired and I didn't have any savings. And I was homeless like that, living in my car. Then they repoed my car. And now I'm out here on the street. And I've been here for 3 years. Yeah, so it's just, it's toxic charity and, just, relational poverty. I mean, I experienced so much, and we're gonna try to see them.
I was gonna say, what an experience, and
Yeah.
I notice you use the term unhoused.
Yes, sir.
For lack of maybe knowing, right? Because other people might use a more, another terminology. Maybe that's not the best. Talk to us about that. Is that the better terminology to use?
I'm still inexperienced on language and concepts around it. I feel better saying unhoused for some reason. And I feel better, and I would say a terminology to try to adopt is neighbors.
Sure. That's
Our
good.
unhoused neighbors.
Yeah.
And so we say unhoused neighbors. I got back, somebody said to me that knew I went, that's like, man, welcome back. God instantly spoke to me and said, Mayo, you're not back.
Right.
You're not back. That's 7 minutes away from you. You're never back. So
So here's a question I have, and after this, I want to transition into a little bit of how you're helping other churches in this season.
Sure.
But here's a question I have on this. After this experience, it's clear that you and LIIV Atlanta have a heart for impacting the community and ministry and outreach for the least of these. After this experience, do you and the church have a kind of a fresh outlook and plan for a new season of outreach in this specific way? Do you have a sermon series that's coming out of you? Do you have a book? What do you think is birthing or is going to be a result in you in ministry from this experience?
So that's a great question, because a precedence can be set. Is your church, that you're leading, or you're setting the precedence towards this community? No, we're not setting the precedence towards this community. What we're doing is we're setting the precedence towards mission.
Okay,
that's what we're doing. So LIIV Atlanta is going to be a church that's on mission, and we will always do something gritty and grimy and uncomfortable to accomplish the mission that God has called us to. So I'm putting in our DNA early. We're not just happy with sitting in here on Sunday. We're going to do something that disrupts how we feel and what we think on Monday. So that's what we're doing. So the least of these is that right there. Pastor, Serve Day is that right there.
Yeah.
So we always make sure, just like you, Pastor, we just always make sure it's in our DNA.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to find somebody to serve that makes us a little bit uncomfortable, because that's what Jesus did. So it's more missiology, just using my approach. I tend to lean towards missiologist, where it's just mission. It's mission. Africa, China, Asia, Atlanta. Like let's go. Let's just not send resources. Let's go experience it. Let's visit it. Let's
I love it.
Like it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I will say this, Pastor Mayo. It's not an everyday pastor who's going to do something like this. So I kudos to you. You have a unique story. You have a unique calling. You have a unique people that you're called to. You have an amazing church. Like I love hearing stories like this, because everybody's not called to do something like this. But
Praise
Pastor
God.
Mayo, this is you, and I think this example is such a great example, not only for churches and pastors, but even for the city, realizing there's a church who cares about the community and is willing to do something uncomfortable and gritty to make a positive impact. And I want to say I commend you for that. That's really awesome.
Pastor, in the wisdom of God, we are serving one of the most cause-oriented generations that we've ever seen. And I just don't think in the future, Gen Z, millennials, and behind is going to follow a church with just I don't want to say spiritual cause, but I kind of, yeah, spiritual is good, but spiritual has to come down to practice.
Sure.
I think we have to have a social side to our gospel.
Mm.
And I'm good spiritual. Praise God for spiritual.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's got to be some that they can follow to say, hey, here's what we did in terms of natural salvation for the city. Because Jeremiah talks about it. If you help the benefit and the welfare of the city, you will help you.
Mm.
So yeah, I just think, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It's funny because I was recently, my family and I kind of enjoy watching The Chosen, which obviously, there are fans of The Chosen, maybe not so much fans, but it is something beautiful about just watching Jesus, seeing kind of the gospel come into life.
Amen.
And what he did with the disciples. And if anybody had a heart for the least of these, and if anybody modeled for us what it is to be both spiritual and socially impacting, it's Jesus. And I mean, what a better model for what we do as churches. Speaking of a love for people, I think the church is the church mobilized is the hope of the world, is the hope of our communities. And one of the things that's on your heart as well is to be able to come alongside churches and pastors and help them get better at reaching their community, get better at knowing the story and how to package, how to contextualize it. You talked about that. Talk to us a little bit about what you're doing with Blank Canvas Creative Co., which Blank Canvas Creative Co. is also something birthed in your heart, but it's not just for you, it's to help others.
Yes, sir. So I call a little bit of my spiritual heritage, my spiritual DNA, my spiritual father, like Pastor Chris. We experience what we experience. You experience some of what you experience because of Pastor Chris.
Yeah.
And Pastor Chris is always a giver. He's always a giver of his intellectual property, the wisdom that God has given him. He packages it in such a way where now you can take it and you can benefit from what God has given him. So Jesus says wisdom is justified by his children. Wisdom is justified by his fruit. I'm his fruit.
Yep.
So therefore I do the same thing. Whatever I'm learning, the intellectual property, I try to learn as much as I can as much as I learn so that I can pass it to others. So a friend of mine was calling me because he was in Switzerland and he was calling me to help him with his church plant, Tom Lancaster. And Tom was calling me and he was like, man, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? I can't go to Grow. I haven't been to Grow. How do you do this? How do you do this? What Pastor Chris say about this? What Pastor Chris say about this? So now I would tell him and he like, bro, man, you like a little walking Pastor Chris. and then I've always kind of been creative on just aesthetics and verbiage and concepts and messaging. And he was like, bro, you should open up a creative company. You're good at what you do. You should help other pastors. So I'm like, Tom, stop. He's like, bro, for real. I just came to you with a blank sheet of paper. And bro, you helped me draw my dream. And man, when he said it, I just started thinking. And I was like, I might as well help other guys. So everything I learned from LIIV Atlanta, everything I learned from Pastor Chris, and everything I learned from Tom. So I help other pastors. So other pastors, what I say is you can come to me with a blank canvas and we'll let the Holy Spirit write on that canvas your dream. And we help you with not only contextualization, we help you with church strategy, we help you with fundraising strategy. Because what I learned is so many categories out there we have to speak to as pastors. Yeah. But sometimes we can potentially speak one language to one category when it's 6 categories living. When I mean 6 generations. Yeah. But all of those generations living, they speak a different language. So what pastor, how can a pastor speak and create content for all those categories to raise resources to accelerate his vision? So I learned that through school. So now I put all that in a packet and we're able to take everything we do. We build websites. We help with branding. We help with rebranding. We help with logos. We help with messaging, Instagram. Everything from A to Z that God needs to put on that canvas. If you just come blank, we'll help you build it.
That's so cool.
So yeah. We scholarship church planners and pastors and build out their whole things. And I just enjoy doing it. You
I was
know,
gonna say, one would think you got enough going, leading a church plant, a two year in church plant, and you say, no, this is actually something that beat in my heart too, and I'm passionate about helping other
oh yeah,
churches and pastors
I
push
enjoy it.
forward. It seems like it's oozing out of you.
Oh no, I know. Like I enjoy it. Like I like no, I like I rode to do the podcast with the pastor that's planning the church, 45 minutes away from us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking them, hey, what's your goal? What's your strategy? Who are you talking to? What's your content? What's your call to actions? What's your marketing? How much are you posting? How much are you doing stories? What does the camera look like when you do stories? Is your wife in it? You got to speak to the wife because 70% of the church is females. Okay, are you speaking to Gen Z? Are you speaking to millennials? He didn't even get a word in. So he dropped me off. He said, when can we do that again? So I mean, I loved it. I absolutely love it. And you know what? Pastor Chris loves it.
Yeah.
He talks, he eats, sleeps, and breathes shop.
Yeah,
That's just what I learned. Mark Pettis, eat. Dino, eat. Lane, we eat. This is what we do.
Yeah, it's a great culture that you kind of grew up in spiritually, and we're shaped and formed in. And you said it earlier. There's something beautiful about understanding by grace I have received, and now by grace I got to give, and that's a great way to lead. It's no surprise why LIIV Atlanta has been just so blessed, and I hear great stories. I see great stories of what God is doing, and I'm really excited. How can people connect with you, Pastor Mayo, if they're saying, man, I want to learn more about what Pastor Mayo is doing, or even with Blank Canvas Creative Co. I'd love for them to help us on our journey. What are the best ways for them to connect with you and find out about this?
So I reverse engineer that question a little bit and start at the end. Blank Canvas Creative Co. You can go to blankcanvascreativeco.com. And you can just shoot me an info email on there. That'll come to our email. Our team will catch that and we'll get back in contact with you. And if you need anything, if you need anything, I'm not the type of guy to say, oh, I'm gonna make you. You got to pay me for it. No, bro, let's talk. You can DM me on Instagram. I'm Mayo Sowell, Mayo, yes, mayonnaise, Mayo Sowell on Instagram. You can just DM me. Shoot me on Instagram or whatever. I'll follow you back. I'm not that type of guy either. If you want to find our church, you can go to LIIVATL.com, and our church is there. And our church is in Atlanta, Georgia. We got a location in Riverwood International Charter School in Sandy Springs. We got another location in Brookhaven. And if you want my phone number, you can call me, 205-960-0078. I have the phone right here by my side. It's orange, War Eagle. Yeah, I give this out to everyone that comes to church for the very first time. And yes, I will text you back. It is not a bat phone. No, 205-960-0078. I'm an incarnate leader. I am in the flesh. I believe in getting close to our people. So yeah, that's how you
Very
get
good. Very good. You guys heard it. Blankcanvascreativeco.com.
Yes, sir.
You can check out the church at liivatl.com. Instagram, Mayo Sowell. Check them out on Instagram as well. I want to mention for all our viewers, listeners, if you haven't subscribed to the AVAIL Journal, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? AVAILjournal.com to try our free trial subscription. This is one of the best Christian leadership magazines I know that's out there. It feels good, looks good, and the content is great. Speaking of PC, look who's on the cover of this one.
Yeah, the guy, the man, and he's not a myth. He's really there, and he'll help you.
Yeah. What a blessing. What a blessing.
Yeah,
I've learned that lesson from Pastor Chris Hodges and from Church of the Highlands, just a spirit of open-handedness and just giving away systems and experiences and resources. What a blessing. Pastor Mayo, this has been awesome. What do you want to leave on our hearts as we wrap things up on this podcast?
Yeah. That question right there, is, it's easy. Just be you. Be you. Just be you, because it's a reason we're scared to be us.
Mm-hmm.
Because the power is in us. Who God created, the divine design, again, from your past, he wants that. He uses that. From your pain, he wants that. He uses that. And from your personality, God divinely put you in that space and time in that moment, with that pain, with that personality, for his purpose. So just be you. I go through it every day. Man, I got to be like Pastor Chris. And Pastor Chris tells me, hey, Mayo, be you. We don't need another Chris. Matter of fact, you couldn't do it. That's a metric you could never reach. is being someone else. So just be you. Just be you. Own you. Own you. You know what I believe, Pastor Virgil, real quick? I believe when we get to heaven, when Jesus asks us the question, what did you do with my son? You know what I believe? I believe that's going to be, what did we do with the facet of his son he put in us? Our personality. It's not going to be like, what do we do with the name of Jesus? Because the body of Christ is diversified in its different places.
Sure.
And he's going to say, what did you do with my son? You. Yeah, so be us.
That's good. That's good. That'll preach. On behalf of Dr. Sam Chand, Martijn van Tilburg, our co-founders, and the whole AVAIL team, Pastor Mayo, thank you for being a guest on the AVAIL podcast. This has been an awesome time, just not only getting to know you, but hearing your heartbeat for the church, for ministry, and for the least of these. What a great project and documentary that you've been a part of, that hopefully will spark a lot of people to think about this in this way. We honor you, we bless you, and we're thankful for your leadership.
Praise God. I love you guys. Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yes, yes. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the AVAIL podcast. For more leadership resources, check us out at theartofleadership.com, and make sure to claim your free trial subscription of the AVAIL Journal by going to availjournal.com. As always, I'm your AVAIL podcast host, Virgil Sierra. Muchas gracias. Thank you for connecting with us to learn the art of leadership here on the AVAIL podcast.